The Meet Your Match update is huge and incredible, bringing us matchmaking as well as a ton of other stuff we've wanted for ages. Because the update is so massive, I'm going to split it up and just talk about one thing at a time. And today, we're going to talk about just how good is the new shortstop. Now, I was really hoping for some change to the shortstop, and I was really pleased when I saw it turn up in the patch notes. Let's take a look at it. Added an alt-fire attack, reach out and shove someone. Now, when I first heard that, I thought it was going to be like a kind of quick melee style attack, so you could use it to kind of finish off low enemies. Turns out it's a bit like a kind of melee air blast. Obviously, it has none of the range and spammability of an air blast, it's on a really low cooldown, but it is really interesting why they put this on this weapon. I guess the shortstop's kind of better in that mid-range. You don't want people kind of in your face. You can use it to zone people and keep them in the perfect range. It also removed the healing bonus, which is a good change. Like, it was never really used, it was bugged with the Mad Milk anyway, and reduced pushback vulnerability from 20% to 40%. And that change is good as well. You used to get flung all over the place, but you can still surf Pyro Air Blast all over the map. Alright, now we've got stats out of the way, here's just some matchmaking footage of the shortstop. Now, if you've followed my channel for a while, you know that ages ago I did a video, Terrible Tactics, something along the lines of Crits Shortstop. Now, the reason I made that video is to show off just how nuts the shortstop can be with the crit streak. It's got a really tight spread, and while crits, each of its bullets, or shots rather, will do 144 damage, and because it's so accurate, you can do that damage over quite a decent range. So it's kind of like, if you've ever critsed a sniper before, you know how you can spam out those 150 body shots? It's like that, but even better. Really fun. However, one of the worst things about this strategy was that Scout is Scout. He's too fast. Medic can't keep up. However, with the recent medic changes, where every medigun acts like the quick fix, where you move as fast as the heal target you're healing, you'll find that medic can chase after you with the crit streak, and you can do some nuts things with the shortstop now. Now, this change was actually really strange. I'm not going to go into it in detail in this video, but it is really weird that they'd give Scout this kind of massive buff. I think it was more definitely intended to make medic more fun to play, but Scout's already an incredibly powerful class. So I was actually really confused when I saw this, but that's not going to stop me from abusing it. Another change in this update that made the shortstop so much more pleasant to use was the min view models. Now, I was going to make a whole video ranting about how awful the reload animations and view models can be in TF2. Now, I love the reload animations and view models. I think it's really important to keep the view models on, super important for people who aren't familiar with the game, but also just for myself to know what weapon I have out. However, the shortstop has the most annoying, slow, and in-your-face reload animation on normal view models, but with min mode, this just isn't an issue at all, and I'm really enjoying using this weapon while still keeping my screen, you know, understandable to people. What I was going to suggest would have like the CSGO style view model offset options, where you can put your gun, you know, down on the X, Y axis and kind of rotate it a bit to have it where you'd like it. But min mode sort of does it pretty much perfectly. The only thing that's weird about min mode is when you use it with weapons that shoot kind of from the middle of your crosshair, like projectiles on an angle, like a rocket launcher or the Huntsman. It's a bit weird doing that. I think I just got to get used to it. Now, a part of me was really hoping for some sort of buff like that quick melee attack I mentioned earlier to kind of help with the shortstop's DPS. It's pretty low when it comes to DPS. It has really good initial damage. In a Scout 1v1, if they're both 125 health and close range, the shortstop will actually win every time just because of how fast it fires. However, its DPS drops off very quickly. I guess it's kind of like a mid-range kiting weapon. I do enjoy that style of gameplay, and it is very different from anything else Scout has, and I appreciate that. So I can understand why they wouldn't want to make the shortstop the kingpin Scout weapon. Now, this was really frustrating. I wanted to use the quick melee attack to knock him off the point, but because auto reload is on, it will always cancel the shove, and that's actually really frustrating. I wish they'd fix that, because I'm sure if I had been able to knock him off with that melee attack, we would have totally won that round then. But turns out it doesn't matter. The quick melee shove does need some changes, I think, to be a little bit more viable. There's pretty much no time in which it's better to be shoving someone, unless you're shoving them off a cliff rather than shooting or reloading, especially since the shortstop's reload is so long. You really have to do it whenever you can. But if they would make it so the shove would cancel your reload, that would be very appreciated, because it was very frustrating. Because yeah, if you got auto reload on, which is on by default, the only time you're going to be able to shove is what? When your gun is full. Like, that's kind of strange. So I wish they make that change. Just kind of a quality of life thing would be great. Also, it's weird. Apparently the shove does 1 damage, but doesn't show up as a damage number. And if you kill someone with it, you don't get credited with the kill. And if you knock them off a cliff, you don't get credited with that kill either. Really odd. Another thing that was kind of weird about this change, giving knockback to the shortstop, I love that they're trying to make the weapon something new, something special, is that I kind of feel like it's treading on the Force of Nature's toes a bit. The Force of Nature was the kind of Scout knockback weapon, and I don't know if I like having another knockback guy on the block, but we'll see how it turns out. I mean, I definitely prefer it in its current form than it was before. It's so much more interesting now, especially since medics can chase after you. There's a lot more you can do with it, but as I said, a few little changes are needed, but the short swap is definitely far more interesting, far more fun to use, and far more viable in my opinion, with all the changes in this update. Anyway, that's all I have got for you right now. Can't wait to cover the rest of the weapons and the new game modes and new maps. I'll catch you guys next time. Can't wait.